All right, everyone. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez got into it with Trump on Twitter a couple of days ago. Trump was gleeful because she insinuated, much like CNN taking his bait a few days ago, she insinuated that there was a real risk he'd win in 2020 and that that's why the Democrats should impeach. And it's like, well, here you have part of me believes almost that Cortez is actually some weird double agent designed to make Democrats look dumb. Because when she says stuff like this, it is a clusterfuck of awful politically with regards to optics within the Democratic Party. This is the opposite of what the Democrats should be doing if they actually want to win in 2020. Instead, they've got a field that's half of the candidates are totally zany. Half of the rest are disqualified based on problems that they've had, like, Warren lying about her race or ethnicity. Sanders being an avowed socialist is a problem, although, a lot of people in the Democratic Party don't realize that anymore. They think that it's normal. They think that's like center-left, I guess. And some of them will even say such things. Oh, he's not actually that far. He's a moderate. Yeah, he wants to raise the marginal tax rate on businesses by 5 points and the tax rate on individuals up to 90% or some crazy amount. But that's a moderate platform, because we're not simply nationalizing everything and putting up pictures of Stalin, I guess. But Trump was basically saying, ha, she's saying there's a risk I'll win in 2020. See, they're desperate. All they can do is impeach. She totally deflects, totally ignores the basic point, which is, yes, Ms. Cortez, it's basically what you're saying. You're corroborating that's a Republican talking point. The Republicans keep using the talking point, hey, the Democrats are obsessed with impeachment because they don't think they can win otherwise. You just corroborated it. Accidentally, it seems. I don't think you quite understand what he was actually getting at. And then she's like, well, yeah, impeachment is what we should be doing by, and these are fucking emojis and stupid shit like that. She just looks petulant again. This is a problem for some of the upstart politicians, the younger politicians. Rand actually had this problem briefly. You'll remember when he was still a candidate in 2016. I'm sure that not a lot of you remember this. Remember that first live stream he did? And people were kind of trolling around, and it was kind of like off the wall. It was obviously unscripted, and it was kind of weird. And towards the end, he's like, I don't know why I'm fucking doing this, and just turns it off. Basically, I don't think he used the F word, but I think he did. He swore, which, if you're a Republican, your constituents maybe care a little bit more than if you're a Democrat, unless you're Trump. Then they love it. And, basically rage quits. And I think he did that on one other occasion, too. We've had this on the other side. Certainly Warren's kitchen video. Cortez has had this several times, like when she's putting together furniture and stuff like that. And it's like she's trying to be personable, but it doesn't come off as personable. It comes off as she just doesn't understand things. Like basic things. And don't try to fucking fool me, Cortez. You've got what? You've got a master's degree or a PhD or something from one of these top, like, what did she go to? Boston University, I think. You're no intellectual lightweight. You know what the fuck you're talking about. You know what a garbage disposal is. You know how to put together fucking IKEA furniture. It's not that difficult. You're pretending to be an airhead to deflect. Bush was good at this. She reminds me, you're not going to believe this, she reminds me more of George W. Bush than almost anybody else. Why? Because she plays dumb. And then she does things like this that are cringy. And I don't think she means to be dumb when she acts cringy like this, but you literally corroborated what the Republicans have been saying for more than a year. The Democrats are obsessed with ma Russia, ma taxes, and ma impeach. They're obsessed with these things because they don't believe in their candidates, I wonder why, and they don't have a solid platform. They can't run on the economy, they can't run on foreign policy, they can't run on domestic policy that they themselves are obstructing, so basically they have to combine cult of personality BS, a la AOC and similar others, which is true, with Orange Man Bad / impeachment. That's basically what they've had to do. And I'm seeing people on the left calling out the Democrats for things like this and saying, focus. Build a platform, tell people what you actually stand for. The only standout candidate in the whole field who's done that is Bernie Sanders. And what's his platform? 70+% marginal highest tax rate. Haha, by the way, I totally won't raise it on anyone else because I'm economically illiterate. Free shit, taxpayer subsidized, of course. The government will take care of you. Blah, blah, blah. Orange Man Bad. Every candidate throws that in because it's popular. This is just cringy and nuts. She took the bait. It's like CNN takes the bait. They seem to realize it afterwards and say, oops. She takes the bait. She doesn't even seem aware of the fact that she did. She thinks that this isn't, if she's being serious, if this isn't some double agent bullshit, she actually thinks this was some sort of an optics win for her. Meanwhile, if you look at her polls in her own area, she's like, well, Mr. President, you're from Queens. You can fool the American people, but you can't fool me. Like, I'm smarter than everyone. You're smart, but you can't even figure out what a garbage disposal does? You can't even put together a plastic chair, you know, that doesn't even require any tools to assemble. And yet you think that you can outsmart somebody who managed to become the President of the United States despite being doomed by every goddamn person in the country and came and didn't even have to win the popular vote to do it? A man with no political experience? You think you can run intellectual rings around him? My goodness, you are totally wrong. And the last ditch sort of thing, the last line of defense for people who like this sort of I'm one of the boys, I'm a strong, empowered woman who don't need no man thing, the thing that their fans will say, well, it's sexist if you call her out on it. It's sexist to point out that this is a terrible, terrible optics loss for Cortez. She's hemorrhaging support right now. Trump's doing just fine. He's more popular than she is. And that's in a far blue constituency. His approval's probably higher than hers there, too, in her so-called native New York. You know, she's actually from an outlying area that's middle class, but, you know, she's still from the Bronx or whatever. Wasn't there a song about that from, like, the late 90s? I can't remember because I don't give a shit about pop music. I remember I had to listen to the pop music station because there, on the other side of Vermont, there was no good rock station. There was sort of the station that played yesteryear's rock, so I grew up listening to, like, the 70s and 80s stuff. It was great AC/DC, the Eurythmics or whatever. Duran Duran. But as far as the 90s stuff, I mean, it was like Sheryl Crow and the Backstreet Boys. I didn't get to hear Kurt Cobain until like a decade later. I didn't get to hear Black Hole Sun. I didn't get the Wallflowers. I got shitty music with Sheryl Crow and Alanis Morissette, stupid shit like that I can't even fucking stand and never could to begin with. Trust me, the 90s were, if you were in an urban area with good radio stations, I'm sure the 90s were a lot better than if you were in like small village America. Yeah, I have to wait till the mid-2000s almost before I come over here to Rutland, and then we have, like, well, we used to have a couple of good rock stations. Now, one of them, half of it is fucking disco. Like, they play ABBA all the time and says shit, and they don't even play the good disco from Italy or Spain or whatever. They play this shitty American and Swedish bullshit. Terrible. Simply deplorable. Yeah, you hear Kiss on the radio, half the time it's from their disco album. Something like, it's like, okay, it gets old after the first time you listen to it. That's about all. Peace out.